Son, do you understand you just killed 4 people?
I want my lawyer.
A mother and daughter, a youth pastor, a young woman.
So? My dad will handle it.
70 and a 40, triple the legal limit, you're 16.
Do you know who my family is?
Right now, you're a kid who killed 4...
Handle it, you were going 70 in a 40 zone. Your blood alcohol was 3 times the legal limit. You are 16 years old. Do you know who my family is? Right now, you are a kid who just killed 4 innocent people. The teenager shrugs. Whatever, they will figure it out, they always do. That officer had no idea how right the kid would be. In the next 6 months, this case would shock America. 4 people dead, 9 injured, 1 passenger paralyzed for life, and the punishment for the driver, 10 years of probation, 0 jail time. His lawyers argued he suffered from something called affluenza. They said his wealthy parents spoiled him so badly he could not tell right from wrong, and the judge believed it. But here is where the story gets worse. 2 years later, when a video showed him drinking at a party, he did not turn himself in. He ran. He fled to Mexico with his mother. This is the true story of the most hated teenager in America. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever seen someone get away with something because of money? Tell me in the comments. To understand how Ethan Couch became this way, you need to meet his parents. Ethan Anthony Couch was born on April 11, 1997, in Tarrant County, Texas. His father, Fred, owned a successful metal roofing company. His mother, Tonya, was a nurse until her license got revoked. Both parents had their own legal problems. Fred Couch had been charged with assault, theft, and evading arrest over the years. In 2016, he would be charged with choking his girlfriend. Tonya Couch had a road rage conviction for forcing another driver off the road. But the real problem was how they raised their son. When Ethan was 13, he drove himself to school. This was illegal. When the principal questioned it, Fred Couch threatened to buy the school. Ethan was pulled out instead. At age 15, Ethan was caught in a parked truck with a naked, unconscious 14-year-old girl. Alcohol was present. His punishment was probation, an alcohol class, and 12 hours of community service. His parents taught him one lesson his whole life: money solves everything. Problems disappear if you have enough cash. By age 16, Ethan Couch had never faced a real consequence. He had never been told no. He believed he was untouchable. That was about to be tested, or so everyone thought. Now here is what happened on the night that changed everything. It was the evening of June 15, 2013, Burleson, Texas, a quiet rural area south of Fort Worth. Earlier that night, surveillance cameras at Walmart caught Ethan Couch stealing 2 cases of beer. He was 16. He loaded the beer into his father's red Ford F-350 pickup truck. 7 other teenagers climbed in with him. Ethan started driving. The speed limit was 40 miles per hour. He was going 70. 3 hours later, tests would show his blood alcohol level was 0.24. That is 3 times the legal limit for adults. He also tested positive for marijuana and Valium. On Burleson Retta Road, a young woman named Brina Mitchell had a problem. Her SUV had broken down. She was 24 years old. She pulled over and called for help. Holly Boyles lived nearby. She was 52. She saw the stranded car and walked outside to help. Her 21-year-old daughter Shelby came with her. Then Brian Jennings drove past. He was 41, a youth pastor, a father of 2. He saw people on the side of the road and stopped to help. That is who he was. 4 good people helping a stranger on a dark road. Then Ethan's truck came around the curve, going 70, driver drunk, no control. The truck slammed into all of them. Brina, Holly, Shelby, and Brian died at the scene. 9 other people were injured. 1 passenger in Ethan's truck, Sergio Molina, was thrown from the bed. He suffered a traumatic brain injury. He is now completely paralyzed. He cannot move. He cannot speak. He needs 24-hour care for the rest of his life. Ethan Couch walked away with minor injuries. 4 people stopped to help a stranger that night. They all died for it. Type RIP in the comments if you want to honor them. Ethan Couch was charged with 4 counts of intoxication manslaughter. He was also charged with 2 counts of intoxication assault for the seriously injured survivors. The prosecution wanted 20 years in prison. But Ethan's wealthy parents hired the best defense team money could buy, and they had a plan. They brought in a psychologist named Dr. G. Dick Miller. He testified that Ethan suffered from something he called affluenza. Here is what that means. Dr. Miller argued that Ethan's parents were so wealthy and so permissive that Ethan never learned the difference between right and wrong. He never faced consequences. He never understood that actions have results. In other words, he was too rich to know better. The defense said Ethan needed therapy, not prison. His family offered to pay $450,000 per year to send him to a luxury rehabilitation center in California. In December 2013, Judge Jean Boyd made her decision. 10 years of probat. Iron 0 jail time, treatment at a facility his parents would pay for. 4 people dead, no prison. America exploded with anger. People pointed out that the same judge had sentenced a black teenager named Eric Bradley Miller to 20 years in prison. His crime was also drunk driving. He killed 1 person, not 4. His blood alcohol was lower than Ethan's. The difference, Eric Bradley Miller was poor. Eric Boyles lost his wife and his daughter that night. At a hearing, he said the words that summed up how everyone felt. Had he not had money to have the defense, to have the experts testify, and also offer to pay for treatment, I think the results would have been different. If you think this was unfair, hit subscribe, because this story gets much worse. Ethan Couch had killed 4 people, and he was going home. Ethan's probation had strict rules: no alcohol, no drugs, no driving. But the reality was very different from what people expected. Instead of the luxury California facility, Ethan was sent to a state hospital in Texas, and instead of his parents paying the full cost, they were only required to pay $1,170 per month. The state paid the rest. The victims' families filed lawsuits. Sergio Molina's family said his lifetime medical care would cost over $10 million. All the lawsuits were eventually settled out of court. The amounts were never made public. 2 years passed. 2013 became 2014, became 2015. Then, in December 2015, a video appeared on Twitter. It showed a party, young people playing beer pong, and one of them looked exactly like Ethan Couch. If this was Ethan, he was violating his probation. Drinking was strictly forbidden. Authorities tried to contact his probation officer. They tried to reach Ethan, no response. On December 11, 2015, a warrant was issued for Ethan Couch. But when police went to find him, he was already gone. He killed 4 people and was at a party 2 years later. What would you do if this was your family member who died? Tell me in the comments. His mother was gone too, and investigators would soon discover they had been planning this escape for weeks. Ethan Couch and his mother Tonya had vanished. As investigators dug deeper, they discovered the escape was not a sudden decision. It was planned. Tonya Couch had withdrawn cash in advance to avoid being tracked. Some reports said she even threw a going-away party before they left. She knew exactly what she was doing. Mother and son drove south. They crossed the border into Mexico. Their destination was Puerto Vallarta, a resort city on the Pacific coast. Back in Texas, the manhunt began. The U.S. Marshals joined the search. The FBI got involved. An international alert was issued. A $5,000 reward was offered for information. The Couches tried to stay hidden. They paid cash for everything. Ethan dyed his hair black to change his appearance. They rented a condo and tried to blend in. But they made mistakes. One of those mistakes was ordering Domino's Pizza. That phone call helped authorities track their location. On December 28, 2015, 17 days after the warrant was issued, Mexican authorities found them. Ethan and Tonya Couch were detained together in Puerto Vallarta. But Ethan was not done fighting. He used Mexican law to delay his deportation. He filed appeals trying to stay in Mexico. Meanwhile, his mother was sent back first. On December 30, Tonya Couch was deported. She landed at Los Angeles International Airport and was immediately arrested. The charge was hindering apprehension of a felon. Her bail was set at $1 million. Ethan's legal tricks only delayed the inevitable. On January 28, 2016, Ethan Couch was flown back to Texas. This time, he was in handcuffs. Type karma in the comments if you think running to Mexico made everything worse for him. The boy who thought money made him untouchable was about to face a very different judge. Everything was different now. Ethan Couch was no longer 16, he was 18. That meant his case could be transferred to adult court, and it was. Judge Gene Boyd, who had given him probation, was no longer involved. The new judge was Wayne Salvant, and he was not interested in excuses. In February 2016, the court reviewed the evidence. The video from the party clearly showed probation violations, but more importantly, fleeing to Mexico proved something else. It showed consciousness of guilt. It showed that Ethan knew he had done wrong and tried to escape the consequences. His mother had actively helped him run. She had planned it, funded it, and fled with him. The hearing on April 13, 2016, would determine Ethan's fate. Judge Salvant made his decision. 180 days in jail, not for the original crash, for the probation violation. But here is the key part: 180 days for each victim. 4 victims meant 4 sentences, and Judge Salvant ordered them served one after another, not at the same time. 180 plus 180 plus 180 plus 180 equals 720 days. That is nearly 2 years in jail. Ethan's probation would also continue until 2024, and when he got out, he would face strict conditions: GPS ankle monitor, alcohol detection patch, drug testing, 9 p.m. curfew. He could not start his car without passing a breathalyzer test. Ethan sat in court showing no emotion. He said nothing. His mother Tonya faced her own charges, hindering apprehension of a felon, money laundering. She was sentenced to 10 years, with all but 18 months suspended. For the first time in his life, Ethan Couch was truly alone. If you believe justice was finally served, hit subscribe now. We have more stories like this coming. After years of his parents buying his way out of trouble, the money had finally run out. Ethan Couch served his time in Tarrant County Jail. It was not a luxury rehab facility. It was not a state hospital where his parents paid a fraction of the cost. It was jail. On April 2, 2018, after nearly 2 years, Ethan Couch was released. But he was not free, not really. He had to wear an ankle monitor. He faced random drug tests. He had a 9 p.m. curfew. His probation would continue for years. Mothers Against Drunk Driving released a statement calling his release a grave injustice. They said 720 days for killing 4 people showed that drunk driving deaths still were not treated as serious crimes. The victims' families spoke to the media. They would never get their loved ones back. No amount of jail time would change that. In March 2019, a judge allowed Ethan to remove his ankle monitor. The victims' families were not even notified. This caused more outrage. Then, in January 2020, Ethan was arrested again. He had failed a drug test. He tested positive for THC, the chemical in marijuana. He was booked into jail. But he was released the very next day. Authorities said they could not prove whether the THC came from illegal marijuana or legal CBD oil. Once again, Ethan Couch walked free. Do you think he learned his lesson? Tell me what you think in the comments. His probation eventually ended. He reportedly still lives in the Texas area. He has stayed out of the headlines since then. But the people he hurt that night never got a second chance. We have spent a lot of time talking about Ethan Couch. Now let me tell you about the people who actually mattered. Brina Mitchell was 24 years old. She had just graduated from college. Her whole life was ahead of her. That night, her car broke down on a dark road. She pulled over and called for help. She was doing everything right. She died because a drunk teenager was driving too fast. Holly Boyles was 52 years old. She was a mother. She looked out her window and saw someone stranded on the road. She did not have to help, but that is who she was. She walked outside to offer assistance. Her daughter Shelby came with her. Shelby Boyles was 21 years old. She followed her mother because that is what daughters do. She wanted to help too. Mother and daughter died together on that road. Brian Jennings was 41 years old. He was a youth pastor. He was a husband. He was a father of 2 children. He spent his life helping others. When he saw people on the side of the road, stopping was not a choice. It was who he was. He died doing what he always did, helping strangers. Sergio Molina was a passenger in Ethan's truck. He survived, but survival is not the right word. He was thrown from the vehicle and suffered a traumatic brain injury. He is completely paralyzed. He cannot move. He cannot speak. He will need around-the-clock care for the rest of his life. His medical costs were estimated at over $10 million. Eric Boyles lost his wife Holly and his daughter Shelby in one night. These 4 people died because they stopped to help a stranger. That is the kind of people they were. They deserved so much better than what they got. And that is why this case made America so angry. The Ethan Couch case exposed something ugly about America. There are 2 justice systems, one for people with money, one for people without. Remember, the same judge who gave Ethan probation for killing 4 people had given a poor black teenager 20 years for killing 1 person. Same crime, different punishment. The only difference was money. Every day in America, 37 people die from drunk driving crashes. That is over 10,000 deaths per year. Most drunk drivers who kill someone go to prison for years. Ethan Couch killed 4 people and initially got 0 jail time. His lawyers invented a word, affluenza. They said being rich was basically a mental illness that prevented him from understanding consequences, and a judge accepted it. Think about what that means. If you are poor and you make a terrible mistake, you go to prison. If you are rich and you make the same mistake, you go to therapy. Public pressure eventually forced some accountability. The video of the party, the escape to Mexico, these things made it impossible to ignore. Ethan finally went to jail. But without that video, would anything have changed? Never. The victims' families never got justice. Not really. Money cannot bring back the dead, and no amount of jail time can undo what happened on that road. But this case did start a conversation about fairness, about accountability, about what kind of society we want to be. So let me ask you, should money determine how much punishment you get? Should killing 4 people ever result in 0 jail time? How many Ethan Couches are out there right now believing they are untouchable? Because if we accept that wealthy kids can kill without real consequences, if we accept that affluenza is a real excuse, then we are telling every victim's family that their loved ones did not matter as much. Brina Mitchell stopped on the side of the road because her car broke down. Holly and Shelby Boyles walked outside because they saw someone who needed help. Brian Jennings pulled over because that is what good people do. They were all killed by a 16-year-old who had never been told no in his entire life. 4 good people gone in an instant because one family believed money made them above the law. Comment below if you believe justice should be equal for everyone, rich or poor. Hit subscribe. We are going to keep telling these stories. We are going to keep demanding accountability. We are going to keep fighting for the victims who cannot fight for themselves. This is not just about one spoiled teenager from Texas. It is about what kind of country we want to live in. It is about whether justice means the same thing for everyone.